Ezekiel 6. The word of Hashem came to me, saying, Son of man, direct your face toward the mountains of Israel, and prophesy to them. Say, Mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord Hashem Elohim. Thus said the Lord Hashem Elohim to the mountains and to the hills, to the ravines and to the valleys. Behold, I am bringing the sword against you, and I will destroy your high places. Desolate will your altars be, and broken will your sun images be. And I will cast down your slain before your idols. I will set the corpses of the children of Israel before their idols, and I will scatter your bones around your altars. In all your habitations the cities will be destroyed, and the high places made desolate, so that your altars be destroyed and desolated, your idols broken and nullified, your sun images cut down, and your deeds eradicated. Corpses will fall in your midst, and you will know that I am Hashem. But I will leave a remnant, so that you will have some survivors from the sword among the nations, when you become scattered among the lands. And your survivors will remember me among the nations where they were taken captive. How I was anguished by their straying heart that turned away from me, and by their eyes that strayed after their idols. Then they will be disgusted with themselves for the evils they did through all their abominations. Then they will know that I am Hashem, that I did not speak in vain about doing this evil to them. Thus said the Lord Hashem Elohim, clap with your hand and stamp with your feet, and say, Alas, because of all the evil abominations of the house of Israel, who will fall by the sword, by the famine, and by the plague. He who is far will die by the plague, and he who is near will fall by the sword, and he that remains and is besieged will die by the famine, and I will spend my wrath upon them. Then you will know that I am Hashem, when their corpses will be among their idols around their altars, on every high hill, on all the mountaintops, and under every leafy tree, and under every thick elm, the place where they offered the savor of pleasing aroma to all their idols. And I will stretch out my hand over them and lay the land waste and desolate, from the wilderness of Diblah throughout all their habitations. Then they will know that I am Hashem. Ezekiel 7. The word of Hashem came to me, saying, You, son of man, thus said the Lord Hashem Elohim to those who dwell upon the soil of Israel, an end. This end, the end has come upon the four corners of the land. Now the end is upon you, and I will send my anger against you, and I will judge you according to your ways. And I will place upon you punishment for all your abominations. My eye will not spare you, and I will not have compassion. For I will place upon you punishment for your ways, and punishment for your abominations will be in your midst. Then you will know that I am Hashem. Thus said the Lord Hashem Elohim, an evil, a singular evil. Behold, it is coming. An end has come. The end has come. It is aroused against you. Behold, it is coming. The dawn has come against you, O dweller of the land. The time has come. The day of tumult is near. And it is not the shout of the mountains. Now, speedily, I will pour my wrath upon you, and I will spend my anger against you. And I will judge you according to your ways, and I will place upon you punishment for all your abominations. And my eye will not spare, and I will not have compassion. I will place upon you punishment for your ways, and punishment for your abominations will be in your midst. Then you will know that I am Hashem who smites. Behold the day. Behold, it comes. The dawn has gone forth. The rod has sprouted fruit. Wantonness has blossomed. Violence has arisen to become a rod of wickedness. There is not among them, nor among their multitude, nor among their offspring, anyone among them who yearns for me. The time has come. The day has arrived. Let the buyer not be glad, nor the seller mourn. The fury is upon her entire multitude. For the seller, he will not return to that which was sold as long as his soul is alive. For there was a prophetic vision for her entire multitude. It will not return. Each man, his very being, remains with his iniquity. They will not fortify themselves. They will blow the horn and prepare everything, but no one will go to war, for my fury is upon all her multitude. The sword is outside, and plague and famine are inside. Whoever is in the field will die by the sword, and whoever is in the city, famine and plague will consume him. Their fugitives will flee, and they will be in the mountains, all of them moaning like pigeons of the valleys, each man because of his iniquity. All hands will be weak, and all knees will melt like water. They will gird themselves in sackcloth, and terror will cover them. On every face will be shame, and on all their heads baldness. They will throw their silver in the streets, and their gold will become repulsive. For their silver and their gold will be unable to rescue them on the day of Hashem's fury. They will not satisfy their souls, and they will not fill their stomachs, for it was the stumbling block of their iniquity, the beauty of his ornament he had set for majesty. Yet they made their abominable and detestable images within it. Therefore I have made it into a repulsive thing for them, and I will give it into the hand of strangers for plunder, and unto the wicked of the earth for spoils, and they will profane it. I will turn my face away from them, and they will profane the place where I am hidden, and into it will come lawless people and profane it. Make the chain, for the land is full of blood, guilt, and the city is full of injustice. So I will bring the wickedest nations, and they will inherit their houses. And I will put an end to the pride of the mighty, and their holy places will be profaned. A cutting off is coming. They will seek peace, but there will be none. Disaster will come upon disaster, and report will be upon report. In vain will they seek vision from the prophet, and teaching will be lost from the Cohen, and counsel from the elders. The king will mourn, and the leaders will be clothed with consternation, and the hands of the people of the land will be confounded. I will act with them according to their ways, and by the judgments they deserve I will judge them. Then they will know that I am Hashem. Ezekiel 8. It happened in the 6th year, in the 6th month, on the 5th of the month. I was sitting in my house, and the elders of Judah were sitting before me, and the hand of the Lord of Hashem Elohim fell upon me there. I saw, and behold, there was a likeness, like the appearance of fire. From the appearance of his loins and downward there was fire. From his loins and upward was like the appearance of a radiance, like the color of the chasmal. Then he stretched forth in the form of a hand, and took me by a lock of my head. And a wind carried me between the earth and the heavens, and brought me to Jerusalem in divine visions, to the entrance of the inner gate that faces northward, where the seat of the provocative image of provocation stood. And behold, the glory of the God of Israel was there, like the appearance that I had seen in the valley. He said to me, Son of man, lift your eyes now to the way northward. So I lifted my eyes to the way northward, and behold, north of the altar gate, this image of provocation was in the entryway. Then he said to me, Son of man, do you see what they do? Great abominations are the people of the house of Israel, committing here to cause me to distance myself from my sanctuary. And now you will yet again see great abominations. He then brought me to the entrance of the courtyard. I saw that, behold, there was a single hole in the wall. Then he said to me, Son of man, tunnel through the wall now. So I tunneled through the wall, and behold, there was an entrance. Then he said to me, Enter and see the evil abominations that they commit here. So I entered, and I saw, and behold, every sort of image, disgusting, creeping things, and animals, and all the idols of the house of Israel were carved upon the wall all around. And 70 men of the elders of the house of Israel, with Jazaniah, son of Shaphan, standing among them, were standing before them, each man with his censer in his hand, with a thick cloud of incense rising. Then he said to me, Have you seen, O man, what the elders of the house of Israel do in the darkness, each man in his paved rooms. For they say, Hashem does not see us, and Hashem has forsaken the land. And he said to me, now you will see yet again great abominations that they do. He then brought me to the entrance of the gate of the temple of Hashem, that is to the north, and behold, there were women sitting, causing Tammuz to cry. And he said to me, do you see, son of man? Now you will see yet again even greater abominations than these. Then he brought me to the inner courtyard of the temple of Hashem, and behold, at the entrance of the sanctuary of Hashem, between the entrance hall and the altar, were some 25 men, with their backs to the sanctuary of Hashem, with their faces turned eastward. They were bowing eastward to the sun. He said to me, do you see, son of man? Were their other sins too trivial for the house of Judah, that they had to commit the abominations that they have committed here? For they have filled the land with injustice, and yet they return to anger me in my own house. For here they are sending their foul odor into their nose. I, too, will react with wrath. My eye will not spare, and I will not have compassion. Though they cry in my ears with a loud voice, I will not hearken to them. Ezekiel 9. He then called within my earshot with a loud voice, saying, bring near those appointed over the city, each with his weapon of destruction in his hand. Then behold, 6 men were coming from the direction of the upper gate that faces northward, each man with his sledgehammer in his hand. But one man among them was clothed in linen, with a scribe's slate at his loins. They came and stood by the copper altar. Then the glory of the God of Israel ascended from atop the cherub, upon which it had been, going to the threshold of the temple. And he called to the man clothed in linen, on whose loins was the scribe's slate. And Hashem said to him, pass through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and mark a sign on the foreheads of the men who sigh and moan for all the abominations that are done within it. Then he said to those within my earshot, pass through the city behind him and smite. Let your eye not spare and do not have compassion. Old man, young man, and maiden, children and women shall you slay to utter destruction. But do not approach any man upon whom is the sign. Begin from my sanctuary. So they began with the elders who were before the temple. He said to them, defile the temple and fill the courtyards with the slain. Go forth. So they went forth and smote throughout the city. And it was while they were smiting, I remained and I fell upon my face, and I cried out loud and said, alas, Lord Hashem Elohim, are you destroying the entire remnant of Israel as you pour out your wrath on Jerusalem? Then he said to me, the iniquity of the house of Israel and Judah is very, very great. The land has been filled with bloodshed, and the city has been filled with injustice. For they have said, Hashem has forsaken the land, and Hashem does not see. So I too, my eye will not spare, nor will I have compassion. I have placed their way upon their head. Just then the man clothed in linen, with the slate upon his loins, brought back an answer, saying, I have done according to all that you have commanded me. Ezekiel 10. Then I saw that, behold, on top of the expanse that was above the heads of the cherubim, something like a sapphire stone, like the appearance of the likeness of a throne, could be seen over them. Then he said to the man clothed in linen, come between the galgal, beneath the cherub, and fill your cupped hands with fiery coals from among the cherubim, and throw them upon the city. He entered before my eyes. The cherubim were standing to the right of the temple when the man came, and a cloud filled the inner courtyard. Then the glory of Hashem rose up from upon the cherub and rested upon the threshold of the temple. And the temple was filled with the cloud, and the courtyard was filled with the glow of the glory of Hashem. And the sound of the wings of the cherubim was heard up to the outer courtyard, like the voice of El Shaddai when he speaks. It happened when he commanded the man clothed in linen, saying, "Take fire from between the galgal, from between the cherubim," that he came and stood near the Ophan. The cherub stretched out his hand from between the cherubim to the fire that was between the cherubim, and he carried it and put it into the cupped hands of the one clothed in linen. Then he took it and went out. There could be seen on the cherubim the form of a human hand under their wings. Then I saw, and behold, there were 4 Ophanim beside the cherubim, one Ophan beside one cherub, and another Ophan beside another cherub. The appearance of the Ophanim was like the color of Tarshish stone. As for their appearances, there was one likeness for all 4 of them, as if there would be a wheel within a wheel. When they went, they would go toward their 4 sides. They did not turn as they went, for whichever place the head faced, they went after it. They did not turn as they went, with their whole body, and their backs, and their hands, and their wings. The Ophanim were full of eyes all around, for all 4 of the Ophanim. As for the Ophanim, they were called the Galgal, within my earshot. Each one had 4 faces. The one face, the face of the cherub; the second face, the face of a man; the third, the face of a lion; and the fourth, the face of an eagle. When the cherubim rose up, it was the Shayah that I had seen at the river Shebar. When the cherubim would go, the Ophanim would go next to them. And when the cherubim lifted their wings to rise from upon the surface, the Ophanim did not turn away from beside them. When they stood still, they stood still. And when they rose with them. For the spirit in the Shayah was also in them. The glory of Hashem went forth from upon the threshold of the temple and stood upon the cherubim. The cherubim then lifted their wings and rose from the surface before my eyes as they went forth, with the Ophanim opposite them. And it stood at the entrance of the eastern gate of the temple of Hashem. And the glory of the God of Israel was upon them from above. This was the Shayah that I had seen beneath the God of Israel at the river Shebar. I realized that they were cherubim. Each one had 4 faces, and each one had 4 wings. And there was the form of human hands beneath their wings. And as for the likeness of their faces, they were the faces which I saw by the river Shebar. Their appearances were the same as theirs. Each one went in the direction he faced. Ezekiel 11. A wind had then lifted me up and brought me to the east gate of the temple of Hashem, which faces eastward. And behold, at the entrance of the gate were 25 men. In their midst I saw Jaazaniah, son of Assur, and Pelatiah, son of Benaiah, the leaders of the people. Then he said to me, Son of man, these are the men who connive iniquity, and who give evil counsel in this city, who say, the end is not near, build houses. The city is the cauldron, and we are the meat. Therefore, prophesy against them. Prophesy, O son of man. Then the spirit of Hashem fell upon me, and he said to me, Say, thus said Hashem, this is what you have said, O house of Israel, and I know what thoughts enter your mind. You have multiplied your slain in this city, and filled its streets with the slain. Therefore, thus said the Lord Hashem Elohim, your slain that you have placed within it, they are the meat, and the city is the pot. But I will withdraw you from within it. You have feared the sword, and the sword shall I bring against you. The word of the Lord Hashem Elohim. I will take you out from within it, and deliver you into the hand of foreigners. And I will execute judgments upon you. You will fall by the sword. I will execute judgment against you on the border of Israel. Then you will know that I am Hashem. The city will not be a pot for you, but you will be like meat within it. I will execute judgment against you at the borders of Israel. Then you will know that I am Hashem, whose decrees you did not follow, and whose laws you did not carry out. For you acted according to the laws of the nations who are around you. As I was prophesying, Pelatiah, son of Benaiah, died. And I fell upon my face, and I cried out in a loud voice and said, Alas, Lord Hashem Elohim, are you making an end of the remnant of Israel? The word of Hashem came to me, saying, Son of man, your brothers, your kinsmen, and the entire house of Israel, about whom the inhabitants of Jerusalem say, Distance yourselves from Hashem. The land is given to us for a heritage. Therefore say, Thus said the Lord Hashem Elohim, Though I have removed them far away from the nations, and though I have scattered them among the lands, yet I have been for them a small sanctuary in the lands where they arrived. Therefore say, Thus said the Lord Hashem Elohim, I will assemble you from the nations and gather you in from the lands where you have been scattered, and give you the land of Israel. They will come there and remove all its detestations and all its abominations from it. I will give them an undivided heart, and I will place a new spirit in them. I will remove the heart of stone from their flesh and give them a heart of flesh, so that they may walk in my decrees and observe my laws and fulfill them. Then they will be a people unto me, and I will be a God for them. But those whose heart follows the heart of their detestations and abominations, I will place the consequences of their way upon their head. The word of the Lord Hashem Elohim. Then the cherubim raised their wings with the Ophanim opposite them, and the glory of the God of Israel was upon them from above. And the glory of Hashem ascended from over the midst of the city and stood upon the mountain that is east of the city. Then a wind lifted me and brought me to Chaldea, to the exiles, in the vision, by the Spirit of God. Then the vision that I had seen departed from upon me. Then I told the exiles all the things of Hashem that he had shown me.